In this video, we will cover adjusting view settings and applying and assigning view templates. In this floor plan view, you can see different colors, varying line weights, and even different brightness levels. We'll take a look at how this is controlled. When nothing is selected, the Properties palette displays the parameters of the view, or the view settings. You should be aware that a lot of these settings are also available in the View control bar. For example, you can see the view scale in the Properties palette as well as in the View control bar. You'll also notice that in the Properties palette, there are some parameters that are grayed out. For example, the detail level is unavailable. And if I go to the View control bar, it's also grayed out here as well. When you see a view setting grayed out, that should indicate that a view template has been assigned and is controlling that parameter. So you may be wondering, why can I not adjust the detail level, but I can adjust the scale? And that's because the view template that is assigned, and we'll take a look at that. So when I scroll down to the view template parameter, you can see electrical plan is being used. When you see a view template in this field, that means that it has been assigned to the view. So when I click in the view template field, it opens the assign view template dialog. And you can see that electrical plan is selected. And when I take a look at the view properties, you can see that some are included and some are not. This is controlled with this checkbox in the include column. And so you can see that view scale is deselected, whereas detail level is selected. And as I scroll through the list, you can see the other ones that are selected. So when a parameter is selected, in this case detail level, that means that the view template will control or drive that parameter for the view. And so that's how you can maintain consistency in your views, is by using view templates. But in some cases you may not want to include all of the parameters. The other way to use a view template is to apply it. So if I click OK to close this dialog, I can then switch to the View ribbon, and in the Graphics panel I'll expand View Templates, and you can see that there's this tool called Apply Template Properties to Current View. So if I were to simply apply the electrical plan view template, it would be a one-time application of those view parameters, and then I could adjust them as needed. So if I applied it, you would not see electrical plan listed as the view template, and none of these parameters would be grayed out. And so that's the difference between assigning and applying a view template. Continuing on here in our list of view settings, there's the visibility graphic overrides, which are important, and we will touch on that in a minute. The discipline is also important and is currently set to electrical and being driven by the view template, but any of the MEP disciplines will have the architectural components half-tone by default. And so that's why in this view you can see the electrical components are bright and full brightness, whereas the architectural components are half-tone. Another thing that's very important is the view range. And when I scroll down to the Extents section, I can see View Range, and I'll click Edit to open up the View Range dialog, and then I'll click Show. And you can see a graphic here which can help you understand what these settings do. And like I said, it's very important so that you are seeing just the extents of the view that you want to. And so remember, we're working with a 3D model here. And so in a floor plan view, we just want to see a certain slice of the building model, if you will. And so the view range will control the top and bottom extents of the view. And so if you have underground conduit, then you're going to want to adjust the view depth in the bottom so that you can see below the floor. If the top, you want to make sure that you're extended up enough so that you can see the lights and anything above the ceiling. Or maybe you don't want to see that, and so you could adjust the top to control that. And then the cut plane, that's important to mainly with the architectural components, and so you want to cut through doors and windows so that they are visible and appear like you're used to seeing them in the view. Or if you don't want to see them, you can adjust that above it, and it'll change how that displays. I'll click OK to close the View Range dialog, and then we'll take a look at visibility and graphic overrides. So I'll click Edit next to Visibility Graphic Overrides, and that's going to open up this dialog. And the important thing to note here is that these controls are specific to the view. So that's why it says floor plan and then the specific floor plan view that we are viewing. The first thing that you can do is control the visibility of categories. So you can see that there are several categories that are deselected here or unchecked in the visibility column. That means that they will not be visible. And so we have several architectural components turned off, mechanical components are turned off, but our lighting fixtures, lighting devices, those are all on so that we can see them in this view. You can also adjust the graphic display of those components by adjusting projection lines and cut lines, and you can even set categories to half tone or override the detail level of specific model categories. Similarly, on the Annotation Categories tab, you can control the visibility and some graphic display settings for annotation categories such as text and tags. Analytical model categories are more for structural analytical components. If you have anything imported, you can control those on the Imported Categories tab. And then on the Filters tab, you can create filters that will override certain graphic settings, and then also the visibility of certain components. And so in this case, we have an electrical check filter, and we'll click Edit and take a look at what that's doing. So first off, it's applied to electrical fixtures, lighting devices, and lighting fixtures. And what it is looking for is the circuit number and that it contains a dash. And so in this case, that's the naming convention that's used, and so it's looking for those fixtures that are assigned to a circuit and have the correct naming convention. And then in this case, it is visible, and then what's happening to those components is that the line color is being overridden with green, so that you can tell which of those which of those components are assigned to the circuits properly. But you could create filters and turn off the visibility or apply other graphic settings to those. Lastly, on the Revit Links tab, you can control the visibility of Revit links. You can also set them to halftone or set it to an underlay if you wish. And then there are also specific visibility and graphic controls for the links. And so an example would be if the architectural model has lighting fixtures and you do not want to see them, well, you don't want to turn it off on the Model Categories tab because that would then turn it off for everything in that view. And so what you could do is come in here to the RVT Link Display Settings dialog, set it to Custom, and then on the Model Categories tab, set it to Custom, and then you could control the lighting fixtures for the model, for the linked model, separately from in your host model. So there's obviously a lot here, but that is how you can control the visibility and graphics settings for your view, and then also standardize those with view templates.